Now we're live.
All
Ooh,
right, hell yeah.
That's how we do it. Uh, with a few clunks and whirs, the great podcast machine that is Press X rattles to life.
Okay, perfect.
Here we are on this fine Monday night. How are you, gentlemen?
Can't complain, friends, can't complain. I mean,
mhm.
she's rolling along just as I'd always hoped. Uh
That concept has never let me down up to this point. You know, it kind of
yeah.
rolls along for better or worse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I've been playing a bunch of things that I can kind of talk about, like a
ooh,
little bit, I think. I'm
yep.
actually gonna Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I've got a couple of them in the pipes. One that I can talk about more than the other. Um
Well, maybe
oh
we
my
should
god.
talk about some other stuff while you pull up your documents and make sure that you don't reveal the unrevealable.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's just talk about the one thing. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. I've decided. Okay.
And what is that one thing? Pray tell.
Oh, that is Octopath Traveler 2.
Ooh.
I've got a full review coming this Friday. So today I can give you a little bit of a preview.
I mean,
and
given that there's a demo out which covers the
yeah,
first 3 hours of any one of the 8 stories,
yeah,
let's do that. I downloaded it and played it too.
yeah. It may surprise and shock viewers to know that it is just it's the same fucking game. Like it's the same spells, the same systems. It's just like it's as direct of a direct sequel as something can get. But for me personally, all I really wanted was more Octopath, and then they delivered that with a little bit of new shit sprinkled here and there. A little bit of little Susan and new shit, and I'm like, I feel great about that. I don't know what else you could ask for, unless you were inherently dissatisfied with the first Octopath Traveler, in which case you are shit out of luck, my friend. Um,
Yeah, it is
yeah,
very much like the last game, but 8 new characters. That's
yeah,
nice. 8 new paths, presumably, to travel.
yeah. Um, I like how this is definitely a feature in the last game, but I feel like it's highlighted a little more clearly. I This time around, I like how people's roles aren't quite as easily defined. You've you've got a sort of 4-4 noble scoundrel split, but like beyond that, it's pretty all over the place. Like the the apothecary is a healer of sorts, sure, but she starts with axe proficiency, so she can just like wail on people, and that's fine. And the uh, the merchant, the one who buys and sells, has like two different weapons he can use right off the bat, and his stats are great. Um, the sorcerer is cool because his path action that he takes, the ones you can do outside of battle, is he can well, this is the cool thing. Your path actions are different during the day and the night, which I really like. So, like, for example, the sorcerer during the daytime, he can inquire with people and do some interviews, get some information. At night, he will mug you, and you will thank him for the privilege.
Really?
Yes. Well, I don't know about the second part. But you can absolutely mug people in the night. It's pretty cool. So if you're like trying to sneakily steal things with a thief, it's like this isn't going great. You just hit the R trigger, change it to nighttime, bring out Oswald, and he just beats the shit out of that person and takes their stuff.
That's
Percentage chance be damned.
that was going to be my question. You just flip it to night whenever you want.
Oh yeah, whenever you want.
Nice.
Uh, yeah. It's cool because again, everybody's path action is different between day and night, and different NPCs will be in different places. So that if you're like trying to get a particular side quest done, you'll like, or like even a quest where it's like I'm supposed to do something with them, but all the options are xed out. You just change it from night to day or vice versa, and suddenly one of them will populate. And like that, and then you can do it. And that's the cool thing about the side quests is a lot of the times it's just you have to figure out which character you need to interact with and when,
Hmm.
and like what they want from you. And here's a fun thing: you can um you can interact with a person in a way that you think is gonna make the side quest succeed. Where it's like, oh, thank God, I couldn't sleep properly. Now I can sleep, and it's amazing. But then he just fucks up again the next day, and you're like, huh, that didn't actually solve the problem. I made him feel better, but the inherent issue is still there. Or like, you'll meet this like little shithead noble kid inside this one random building in this one random town. It's like, listen, what I really need is this item. If you can get that for me, that'd be amazing. You're like, all right, sure. So you do that for him, and it's like, cool, thanks. Is that the quest? No, but thanks for the item. And he'll just do that over and over again until you figure out what the proper option is.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
I did notice that there's another hunter character,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, infamously on this podcast, the speech the hunter people is very almost English. Is that still the case?
Nope.
Th-
Nope.
They quote unquote fixed it.
Well, it's the hunters in this case because it's technically I think a different world. They're like
Oh, okay.
beastlings, so half man, half animal. And the one you control just has an unusually good grasp on the English language, which I guess isn't their native tongue. I don't know. Anyways, she's great. I think she's fucking delightful. Lots of fun. Um, loves meat more than perhaps anything else on Earth. Loves meat more than perhaps anyone else who loves meat that you will ever, encounter in the game or in your life. Um, her ability, she can like capture monsters, and then you have like a roster of like 5 or 6 or 7 that you can like use for battle. But if that roster gets full or you want to change somebody out, you could just kill and cook that monster you captured in exchange for delicious meat.
Those sound like meaty decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them you don't want to eat. Sometimes it comes out rotten. That's not great.
Oh.
Um,
That's a bummer.
like a horrifying slimy bug monster. You're like, no, I'll just turn this into flesh. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't put that in your mouth.
No, that's goo. That's goo.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't do that. And sometimes it's rotten, or sometimes it's like a chicken skewer or something like that. And you're like, ah, hell yeah. So that's cool. It's like a lot of the path actions, their unique skills are like very interesting compared to the previous game.
I very distinctly remember you loving the combat of Octopath 1. Is that
Yes.
similarly true here?
Oh, hell yes.
Nice.
Every battle is just like a puzzle. You got to figure out who does what and when and how's this going to work, what's the weaknesses and all that shit, and um you got to figure out like what the optimal path is and everything. It's cool. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. I really appreciate how like even if a person's not particularly strong, like if you're like swapping somebody out and you're like, oh, I want to use this person and they're not quite the right level they should be, they can still be useful in battle. They can still contribute to breaking the shields. They can still do, buffs or debuffs or all that good shit. Um, you can do what you do in Bravely Default, where like you have like 2 or 3 support characters whose only job is to set up the big bruiser. Um, and that's the other new thing about this one is that you have these things called latent skills, where like you will, it's like a limit break basically, where you like slowly build it up in battle, but like breaking shields or taking damage. And some of them are pure brute force, and some of them are just like cool and useful. Like you can act twice, or you get full BP, or like Spells that target everybody now target one person, but they're stronger. That sort of thing. And then the samurai is just like the samurai and the hunter. It's just like, oh, we just do a lot of damage in different ways. We have like super attacks that we like power up, go Super Saiyan, and just beat the dog shit out of like everybody in the room. So that's cool.
I completely forgot how flashy the battles are.
Mm.
And man, you really don't have to work that hard. You boost up a regular attack a couple of times and yeah, that looks great. I love
Super
this.
satisfying.
Yeah.
That's
good. How long is it? Million hours?
I think I'm like, I don't know, long? Not less than a million. Less than
Okay.
a million, more than 30. Less than a million, more than 30.
All right. That
Yeah.
that last one, if you really wanted to clear out all the super bosses and stuff, it was hefty.
Yeah.
At least
But
an 8 out of 8 for heft.
yeah, if you want, you know, if you want something to really sink your teeth into, when that drops, fucking. So the review's on the 17th, 1920. It's like next Thursday or something? Next Thursday night? Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday. So the reviews will go live on the 17th, and the game doesn't come out until the 24th.
I'm not going to say anything about, the quality of the final game, obviously, but that's usually a good sign if reviews are coming out a week before.
Yeah.
It's that 9 p.m. the night of release review embargo that's, they're not confident in this thing.
Well, I mean, it's the same engine, right? So they can they're
Yeah.
probably pretty confident in how it runs.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that's cool.
Oh yes.
I feel like we knew about that for quite a while, but I don't remember when that happened, when it was announced.
I believe it was like last fall when we got a big trailer for it.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because I was like, no hype whatsoever. I was like, I don't, whatever, man. It's gonna be a game. It's gonna be cool. And then after getting my hands on it, I'm like, I could have been a little hype for this. A little hype would have been well deserved, I think.
About an 8 on the hype scale. Everything's an
Yeah.
8.
So people who are like, oh man, is this worth getting excited for? I'm gonna say yes, which is not a scored impression or anything like that, but like, be excited. YN why? So there you go. Yeah, look at that. Okay. Um.
You would totally go to prom with Octopath Traveler.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That says something. Maybe we should carry on and talk about the rest of the Nintendo Switch stuff because, well, there was that Nintendo Direct, and either lots of things either came out that day, or were announced that day, or had demos that day. How do you feel about flipping the script and just talking about Nintendo Direct here?
Yeah.
So
Thoughts? Tears of the
okay,
Kingdom? Eh?
okay.
Eh?
Um Same deal with Octopath Traveler 2. I just know it's going to be good, so I'm not like, "Ooh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what it's all about." It's like, "We're Breath of the Wild." Uh, I'm good. Thank you. Yes, please. Play it day one. I don't care. It's more Breath of the Wild. It's just
So I
uh,
Yeah.
thought that too, but also the only time they've ever really done this where another game comes out in that same world, in that same engine, it was Majora's Mask. I don't like Majora's Mask. What are the
okay,
odds this is a Majora's Mask situation?
pretty low. Um for one thing, the release time between Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time was less than 2 years.
Hmm.
So they rushed that motherfucker. Like they really just shoved it out the fucking door. These two games are about 6 years apart. So
Wow, has it been that long? Huh.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
So like
Was it a launch title on the Switch?
it was day
Yeah,
one on
right?
the
Yeah.
Switch. Yes.
Okay.
Which was also the same day the first Horizon game came out.
Wow.
And yeah, it didn't get the credit it deserved because everybody played Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
for good
And
reason.
then and then of course same thing happened with its sequel when fucking Elden Ring dropped in the same week, was it?
Yep.
Same day?
Yeah.
Even? Yeah, and just again. But anyways,
Uh,
yeah. Tears of the Kingdom is looking sweet.
mm.
Yeah, I hope it runs okay. Breath of the Wild runs okay on the Switch. It looks like they're trying to do a lot more here. And obviously developers get better with their hardware over time, but I would hate for this to be a situation where the frame rate really sucks in an open field or there are just technical issues that hold it back.
I don't think it's going to run worse.
I hope not.
I think it will absolutely, for sure, run as good as Breath of the Wild. Potentially a little bit better, just because they've had a lot of time to like perfect the engine, and they've been cooking this one for again 6 fucking years. But also, the hardware is now 6 years old, so yeah, at worst, it'll run the same.
Let's just hope they perfected the weapon system so they don't break after 3 hits.
Yeah.
There's no way they change that though.
Oh no.
Like I can deal with the sticks and the little things breaking easily, but when it's substantial swords and whatnot that, can barely be swung, yeah, it gets a little frustrating.
I think they might tweak the lifespan of weapons, or like this one might last longer, or like this, you know what I mean? Like they might change that, but the fundamental nature of the weapon system, I think, is going to stay the same. Just because, um, I don't know exactly why I feel that way about it, but I just feel like they had a very specific goal with the weapon system, and in their eyes, the eyes of the devs, they succeeded with flying colors. And like, I don't know how many people are really that bummed about it. I know people are like, "Oh man, it sucked," but then those same people still kind of finish the game. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, oh
on,
yeah, it's definitely something you play through, you play in
yeah,
spite of.
yeah. On balance, I think like, although it's possible that they got such overwhelming negative feedback about it, that were like, "Oh, okay, the weapons won't break as often."
Yeah.
But I think in playtesting that might be a problem because you find so many goddamn weapons. And you'd be
Mm.
like running into the edges of your inventory space. That's kind of the like other side of the coin. Yeah, the weapons break all the time, but when you're like constantly picking up new ones, it's like, well, fuck, what do I do? It's 6 more. I'm like just hauling around in a big old fucking burlap sack behind me because I got nowhere to fit on my person. I think that if they change the weapon breaking system, there's some other stuff they're gonna have to balance. You'd basically have to have like a near infinite inventory, and they could do that because it was, but like again, it's like one of those things where you change one system and a lot of other systems are gonna have to change as well. So I don't have a lot of faith that it's gonna go away.
Is Link
Yeah.
gonna have the Master Sword at the start of the game? That's another
There's a
thing.
lot there's a lot of promotional materials that show it like half melted,
Oh.
so maybe not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's got to
Yeah.
be a skill reset.
That's right. Skill reset and an explanation as to why he doesn't have that sword. That's probably what kicks the game off. Is the sword gets melted.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
The sword melting, Zelda herself getting not fridged exactly, but like put in the pantry
Mm,
for the runtime because they can't let us play with her because they're assholes,
yeah.
even though she is by far the more interesting character because she has a personality and shit and like hopes and dreams and goals. Link is just kind of her bodyguard.
Yeah, the shambling corpse
Yeah.
that wakes up once every 300 years to kill Ganon.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
Motherfucker doesn't even have a voice. Give me Zelda all day.
Yeah, she just seems more interesting, and she's in like actual adventuring gear in all the previews and all the trailers and shit. So,
Yeah.
but you never see them unless either they're like sitting on it to be like, oh, you can control her in like a couple of missions like Mary Jane and Spider Man. But like
Mm,
that will be as much as we ever get of that.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
calling it now.
Yeah, and you know those segments will be stealth missions where you just gotta sneak around a few enemies and get to from A to B.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like mechanically so different from Blink as to be like
Yeah. Yeah.
beyond comparison.
Unless it's a
So
Metal Gear Solid 2 situation, and they're gonna pull the carpet out on Link, and it's Zelda.
Wow, that would be sick. You play as Link for like the first hour or so, and then he gets washed away in a tanker
Yeah,
incident, and out comes Zelda. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it has to be on a tanker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
although I will say the fact that you can like make and pilot around vehicles is pretty rad.
That's sweet. I didn't realize there are
Well,
vehicles in
because
that.
there's like there's a shot of him like riding around in something on the ground, and there's another shot of him flying and makeshift contractions through the air.
Mhm.
And
Sweet.
if that's the reason we can't play as Zelda, almost worth it to
Yeah.
make your own flying machine and just go ripping around the map. Like,
In a really good physics playground.
yes.
It, that that section where he's showing the flying thing and the car, it gave me serious banjo nuts and bolts
Mm, mhm.
vibes.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, that's an underrated game.
Yeah,
Top qual.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it'll probably be good. It'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
So, so I'm probably gonna buy the remastered Metroid Prime.
It looks really good.
It's really good. From what I understand, they redid. It looks like they redid the graphics from the ground up because you keep seeing like comparison shots of the original game, which looked great and still does compared to the new one. It's like, oh, they ripped the copper wiring out of this motherfucker. They completely redid it. This is a teardown. This is
It's the
crazy.
it's exactly what a great remaster or remake does though. It looks like you think it looked.
Mhm.
You remember it
Mm.
looking like that. Obviously it did not, but yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, there's like you're in places where it rains and the water droplets move differently on the gun when you tilt the gun up, and you like see them hitting the visor, and you're like, "Fuck, put the work in."
Nice.
I'm really
But
curious how that plays with traditional analog stick setup versus the original game, where it was very much a platformy one stick to move and turn kind of setup.
yeah, that's the other reason I want to buy it again is because they changed the controls. I I tried to do a replay. I want to say like 10 years ago. And what happened was I got to the Super Duper Space Pirate, which is about I think 3/4 of the way through the game, and stalled out really bad because it pushes the limits of the control setup for the GameCube like to its absolute farthest edge, and I'm like, this isn't fun. You have to like be constantly like, oh, you use the gun, use the missiles, use the gun, use missiles. You have to like do the lock around and look around and all this other shit. And like, that would be 1,000 times easier with just two sticks instead of that janky bullshit that they made you deal with on the GameCube controller.
Well,
So
Metroid Dread proved that. That game has a very complicated control setup. Where you're holding like
yeah.
multiple shoulder buttons at various times, and it works. So
But
they
it worked.
applied that logic to this. It'll be good.
Yeah. I was gonna say that works because it's 2D and you have a limited plane in which to operate all your bullshit.
Details. Jake. We don't.
Yeah. So, anyways, Rhett, were there any highlights for you from the Nintendo Direct this past week?
Uh, yeah.
I've got one if you need to think.
Yeah. The thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
Kirby, Return to Dreamland. I downloaded
Nice.
the demo for that. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's
Sick.
exactly the Kirby games that you remember with no time limit, very casual platforming around, deciding which enemies to digest into powers, and having a good old time. Looks like a great return to form for Kirby.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess GBA games coming to,
Hell yeah.
that's cool. That was definitely cool. But I think something that we all expected, but of course it was nice to get. Nintendo has a way of surprising us with these kinds of things, and it never really fails to disappoint. That's sweet, getting GBA games on Nintendo Online.
Oh yeah. You get Minish Cap right
Yeah.
from the jump, and that
Yep.
one rules.
Sweet.
I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
worth it just for Minish Cap.
Minish Cap, the first Mario and Luigi game, where
Great game.
you control their attacks with the A and B buttons. That Super Mario Brothers 3 thing that they showed off, they didn't really touch on it much in the presentation, but I tried it out, and they have all of the fucking e-reader levels loaded on it. So you get Mario 3, but then you get 50 fucking bonus stages.
Nice.
Bunch of which I've never seen before. They're variations of all these different levels and remixes and brand new stages and challenges and shit. It's cool.
Nice.
I feel like Mario 3 is the black sheep of the family a little bit. The one that stands out. It came out right when they were about to transition over to Super Nintendo. People were looking at the horizon. And Mario 3 came out. It's got such awesome stuff like the
Oh
shoe
yeah,
and the Tanuki suit
for
and
sure.
the tail in general.
Yeah,
All
you
those
knew it
things
was
are so awesome.
you knew it was fucked up when they needed to get Fred Savage to come in and promote the game.
A fun fact: Mario Brothers 3 is the NES game that I'm the absolute best at out of all of the entire catalog of NES games. There's no other NES game I'm better at than Mario 3. I can
Like,
I can
would you say that, like Fred Savage in The Wizard, that game you would have actually been able to compete against other people at? Or you're just saying it's personally the one that you excel at the best?
personally, I
Right.
think if you took me with all my adult knowledge and plunked me down to that situation, it was oh man, this is so cool. I would have just schooled those fucking children, and it would have been
Nice.
embarrassing. Yeah. No, I can beat it start to finish in a single sitting,
I
in
love it.
a couple hours. Yeah, or an hour and a half. Whatever.
Yeah, that's such a good add to uh the the back compat catalog, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
a way better reason to get the bonus Switch Online Plus or whatever they call it than N64. There's just such a giant catalog of awesome GBA games. They'll never run out.
Holy shit.
Oh
Yeah, and apparently they're putting for the Game Boy games, they're putting in Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages onto
Huh.
their eventually, those are great games.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of and Golden Sun is coming at some point, which Golden Sun rules.
Yeah, whatever happened to that franchise? Why they stop making those?
it died.
I think the company that develops them, can't remember who does it, but I think they got swallowed up by Nintendo and turned to other projects.
Probably ended up making Mario Party games.
Ugh. Yeah, but there's I can't remember how many Game Boy Advance games are out right now, but they're all bangers. Minish Cap, Mario Luigi, Mario 3. There's a some sort of really weird one that I never heard of, but looks fun.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We don't need names. People can go watch the direct if they really want. Yes.
Fuck,
Yeah.
it's gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna have to look it up later. But yeah, and the Game Boy original ones, they've got Wario Land 3, Wario Land, great games for the Game Boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like, they're cool because unlike a Mario game, you can't be killed. Like you don't have lives and you don't lose them. But like every enemy that attacks you successfully changes your form, and then you can use that changed form to navigate the world differently. Like sometimes they'll set you on fire, and then while you're on fire, you like run around like crazy and you like smash through certain blocks you couldn't before, or like you'll get like stung by a wasp and balloon up to twice your size, and you can just sort of like stomp through floorboards you weren't heavy enough for before. They're cool. It's cool shit.
They are really good. Uh, and good partially because they're so different from Mario games. And not just Mario,
Yeah.
NES, SNES, but the Super Mario Land games way different than those.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. The other one that stood out for me from that direct was I think it's called Sea of Stars,
Yes. Yes.
the one that is absolutely a Chrono Trigger ripoff. So and goes so far as to have Mitsuda writing some of the songs.
Yeah, that's pretty bald faced, but like it rules that they got him as a guest composer even for a couple of tracks. It's so good. Um, I had to download that demo because I've been really, really fucking curious about that game.
It I downloaded that one too and played a bit of that. It's pretty cool. The I kind of got a Super Mario RPG vibes from it. It has kind of
Sick.
that
Nice.
three-quarter angle isometric, and a lot of
Sweet.
the combat is timing based. Like a lot of the skills you do, if you want to, hit all enemies, you've got to time it up to deflect a boomerang back at the next enemy and stuff like that. Pretty cool. Graphics are really nice. Good pixel art. I didn't get too much of a sense of the story, but it looks like it's probably at least competent.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
been in development for quite a while. I've been kind of watching it. I think I follow the devs or whatever the game on Twitter just to like keep up with the updates. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one to finally drop.
Sweet.
Um,
What was
what
there
else?
was a like ghost detective one?
Ghost Trick. Ghost Trick is coming back.
Yeah.
Um, it's got a real cult following. The original release, like it had a lot of fans. People really loved it. They're really bummed that they didn't do anything with the franchise. Because you you like possess objects. You're like a dead dude, and you like possess things and to interact with the living world and use that to like solve puzzles and like advance the plot. It's cool. It's a cool, interesting concept that I have never played, know nothing about, except that there's some rabid fucking fans, sort of in my social sphere, who are pretty jazzed.
I giggled there because I could see your face and you legitimately yawned, but that would have been a great bit if you were talking about Ghost Trick and fake yawning all the way through.
Yeah,
It's that boring. That would have got
it's
the Ghost Trick fans all up in a tizzy.
Open and Tizzy. That's right. Yeah, Ghost Trick was dope. There's a couple of detective games in the direct because there's the Danganronpa guys. They've got one coming out, and there's another one of a similar vein, but not quite the same. It's like another fucking. It's like a Tokyo police force, but with like teenagers and superpowers. And like, I don't remember anything else about it, but it was like,
Oh
I
yeah.
oh, it's cool, I guess.
Ghost
But
Trick? Phantom
yeah,
Detective?
that's the one.
What's
Yeah.
the Tokyo cop kids? I
Mm,
remember that now that you say it.
Teen Squad. I don't
Of course. Of course.
Samba de Amigo Party Central?
I mean, that looks
Yeah.
like a different kind of party
Right.
than the ghost one. Um,
Right.
Remember when like peripherals were a thing? You could legitimately sell a game in back when Samba de Amigo originally came out on the Dreamcast, you could sell a game that just came with maracas, and people would buy that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is are we talking about Master Detective Archives? Rain Code.
Yes, yes, that's the one um that's one of them. And I think Deca Police is the other one.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's also
Yeah.
a Professor Layton game in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, there's a new Professor Layton game coming out at some point. A Tron Identity, which is like a visual novel, which seems like a weird move on their part.
Yeah.
The Dead Cells Castlevania crossover.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good fit.
yeah.
Throw some holy water. I don't know.
Hey, but one game that we should actually spend a few minutes talking about, and it's wild that we haven't brought it up before now, Pikmin 4.
Yep.
Oh, oh yeah, that Pikmin game that looks exactly like the other Pikmin game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a dog. That's different.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Dog.
And there's an ice Pikmin and what looks like a rock Pikmin from the key art. Or maybe he's made of coal or
Yeah.
quartz. I don't know. Uh I I just missed the whole Pikmin series, the whole franchise. It just completely missed me. I don't know if it's good or bad or what. I don't know shit about it. It doesn't, it doesn't register in any significant way. It's just like there's Pikmin games, they exist, they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
We should bring Alex Everett on to talk about Pikmin because he's a big fan.
Mm.
I mean, I played 1 and 2 for sure, and they're very well designed, cute as hell, and engaging. But I never found that those games really stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
when a new Smash game, I was never breaking my neck trying to unlock the Pikmin pilot. You know,
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
whatever his name is,
Yeah.
Pikmin.
Um
Pikman. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So there's some sort of like dress up game called Fashion Dreamer
Oh,
Yeah.
where
man.
you just make outfits or you find other people's outfits and you like them and then you have access to those outfits. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna do gonzo numbers. It's probably just gonna fucking blow up the charts because it's one of those things. Just like there's a group of people that have been starving to play games like this, and they're gonna be satiated, and it's gonna be great. But I don't know.
I found the pitch very confusing. It
Yeah,
was oriented around now you too can be an influencer.
yeah. It's just like you could just do that
Almost
in real
universally one of the
life.
most annoying groups of people on the planet.
Mm.
You'd be like these people.
Yeah, but maybe that's who it's for. Influencers and aspiring influencers. And then people will play this on Twitch and then they'll like have YouTube Let's Play series and they'll build people will build careers out of this game. Fashion Dreamer will be the launch pad for some starry-eyed young girl or guy or what have you who to get themselves in the public eye and change their fucking life. You never
But
know.
James, there's no more space. All the park benches are taken, you know? The influencers are perched precariously on top of every park bench, every railing, in front of every tree on Earth at this point, taking
Yeah.
their little TikToks and doing stupid dances. But hey,
Yeah.
I mean, it entertains an entire generation of people, so there is
There you
something to
go.
be said for it. Not for me, but I'm not the target audience.
Yeah. Not sure who the target audience is for Bayonetta Origins. Um, I was watching some people talk about the direct, and they pointed out that having such an obviously hypersexualized, sort of adult, mature-oriented character like Bayonetta, and then going back to her child origin story is a very, very weird move. It's very weird. It'd be like, what did this porn star do when they were 12?
Yeah.
What was their life like when they were 12 years old? And it's like, hey, it turns out I don't want to know. But counterpoint, Bayonetta, not a human, not a porn star. So maybe this will be less weird. Maybe it'll be much weirder than I'm hypothesizing presently.
Right. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. It's I mean, after so many years of looking at this character's chest as she barrels through demon after demon, I didn't realize that that's what they were doing with this. So yeah,
Oh yeah, this is an origin story of
okay, yeah.
Bayonetta where she
I guess I should have figured it out with the title.
Bayonetta Origins. I know it's subtle, but you pick up on it when you.
But
you
like
pay attention.
they could have made her not a child, you know?
As a
Well,
non-human, like, do we know how old Bayonetta is? She could be thousands of years old. So
Hmm,
Bayonetta Origins, she could still be 800 years old.
fair.
yeah, she's at least 500 or more.
Hmm.
For the first game. Also, I think what happened was that they had this idea, like a gameplay idea. They had this mechanic or this idea for something they wanted to do, where it's just like, oh, you won't control the character, you'll control the character's monster friend, and then you can't directly do damage, but you can get the monster to do damage. And they're like, all right, how do we make Bayonetta do this? And I guess it just only made sense if she was like 12. Like it didn't make sense otherwise, because you have to take her back to an age where she's not a total badass, and they had to go all the way to like prepubescence before that made any sense at all, story wise.
Gotcha.
The universal age at which people save the world and kill gods.
Yeah.
So I fully expect that's going to happen in there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little god killing. Um,
A little light god killing.
hey, they finally put Advance Wars 1 and 2, the remake. They put that back on the calendar. They took it off, I believe, because it was going to drop like the same week that the Ukraine-Russian war started, and they were like, "Huh, that's not the greatest timing. We're going to shelve this." Now, this isn't confirmed. I don't have a press release or anything in front of me, but my understanding is that the release timing was so tasteless in the eyes of the developers and the publishers that they were like, maybe we sit on this one for a minute. Or maybe it wasn't done and that was just an incredibly convenient reason. But I have a feeling it was actually, ooh, no, don't start this when an actual war breaks out. That seems weird, which has never stopped any other war game franchise, but
I wish more products, more titles did what Top Gun Maverick did, which is to have faceless bad guys. You know, it doesn't have to be a particular group of people that's the bad guys. It can just be people, you know?
yeah.
And I don't understand why more games don't go down that route of it just being um, some splinter cell of people from all walks of life. Then you get a more interesting experience than oh, it's Russia, that's the bad guy. Whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a little sick of demonizing people in a time of peace. Also, do you guys remember, did you guys ever play Advanced Wars when it first came out?
Nope.
Oh, well,
Like,
it rules.
yeah, very briefly.
Yeah. It's it's a turn-based strategy game. It's a little bit like Fire Emblem actually.
Huh.
Um except like instead of like named particular characters, you just have like units and you can manufacture more units. But like it's very much that same like rock paper scissors style combat where like oh infantry's good for this and tanks are good for this and big tanks are good for this and planes and shit and um there's a very like clever cerebral kind of strategy you have to employ in order to succeed and progress. And I look forward to digging into that. It's gonna be great.
This is not related to the direct in particular, but it is a
Okay.
news story. It,
Okay.
it does involve Nintendo.
All right.
Apparently, the original Metroid Prime developers are not in the credits for the remaster. It's only the people who remastered the game and just has a single line of based on Metroid Prime from Nintendo. That's a weird choice.
Yeah, that's
Didn't have the space. Didn't have the space
I
for.
I mean it's a credit sequence. You could just make the space. That's not like
No, no, they packed it. They packed the
yeah.
That's that's actually a big an endorsement, a shining endorsement. Yo, we packed this fucking shit with so much content that we couldn't even pay tribute, pay respect to the people that actually made the game.
Yeah.
Had
So
no space for text.
we had no space for text left over. Yeah.
Yeah.
We fit our own names in there, of course, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only just though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I hope that's just like a fucking oversight that they're like, "Oh, you know what? Our bad. That was silly of us. We'll fix that in the patch." And not like, "No, fuck you. That team is dead."
There's some intern who, their task was to copy and paste the credits from the
Yeah.
original Metroid Prime, and they tried to do it. There's something wrong with the formatting. It just didn't look quite right, and there's a lot of extra spaces, and they're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
And Metroid Prime people.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm only here for 2 more months. I'm going back to school. I don't give two shits.
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. So, one announcement that I'm very curious about. They're dropping the first 3 Etrian Odyssey games in a collection on the Switch.
Hmm?
Now, these games aren't graphically intensive in any way. You can run them on practically any device. They're very simple. But a big part of the experience was using a stylus on the DS to draw out the map. And I can't help but notice the Switch is not really that kind of system. I mean, it has a touchscreen, but like I literally can't think of a game that really uses it. So I am extremely curious as to how they're porting these over and like what they're going to do about that. If you can still draw maps, if that's like just like gone by the wayside and they just automatically fill out as you explore. Because like map making was like a big part of the appeal where like you just get this blank space and it was like you get lost in this maze and you're fucked. So you have to like draw the map as you go.
That's interesting. I remember from this presentation that there was mention of some uh, map assist tool that would
Yeah.
draw walls for you.
Yeah. It's a feature that they introduced in the 4th game.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if it was just like, oh, we're gonna have this because we had it in the 4th game, and we're just trying to add some quality of life shit.
I hope it's motion controls. You gotta dismount one Joy-Con and you gotta point it with pinpoint accuracy to make this map work.
Hell world, even to imagine it. Don't even joke yourself. Um, I'm guessing nobody on this podcast has played the Etrian Odyssey games except for me.
correct, I think.
Yeah, because they are the hardest hardcore dungeon crawlers a person can possibly play, except for like the actual Wizardry series,
Hmm.
and they're pretty much on par in terms of difficulty. Yeah, probably far and away the hardest Atlas game I've ever played is Etrian Odyssey. Which is saying something, because Atlas games are generally not particularly easy.
Gonna say, usually unbelievably long and quite difficult.
Yeah, and Etrian Odyssey stands out among that whole publisher's catalog. You're like, oh, buckle the fuck up, I guess.
You're in for an adventure. Hope you
Mhm.
like adventure.
But like, when you actually like master a whole floor of the labyrinth and like you map it out completely and you're like powerful enough that you can just kick the shit out of these guys. Oh, what a feeling. What a feeling when you actually succeed. Um,
No
it's
doubt.
remarkable shit. Um,
Any other direct stuff, or should we move on to some other news? There is other stuff, as it
I
turns
think
out.
I think we've covered. Oh man, there's actually a lot of games that they dropped that I'm like pretty jazzed about.
It was
There's a
chock
sequel.
full. That was, in general, great
Yeah.
example of how to do one of those events. I don't want to see the office of the people making the game. I don't want that. Tell me what the game is. Show me the game in action. Bing bang boom. You got my attention. And Nintendo
Okay.
nailed it.
So the last thing I'll talk about from the direct is they announced a sequel to Fantasy Life. So Fantasy Life: The Girl Who Steals Time. Um, I played the original to death. Um, it's a dumb, silly little like uh job sim where you can be the warrior, you can be the baker, you can be the tailor, and you get a quest line based on every job, and then you get like access to cool new shit when you finish these quest lines and like um little bonuses and shit that you build up, and it consumed my life for something like a month and a half, and so the fact that they're making a sequel is pretty cool. I'm just gonna say that right now. It is pretty cool that they're making a sequel because I played the holy fuck out of the first game. Um,
Did this
it,
co- Sorry, did this come out before or after Animal Crossing?
mm, it came out before the Animal Crossing for the Switch, that's for sure. Um, Not before Animal Crossing in general. It
Got a
was like a
lot of
three.
Animal Crossing vibes.
Yeah, it was a 3DS eShop title.
Okay. The first
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was on N64, I think.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, N64 in Japan and GameCube in the States. Um, And yeah, it definitely has that same sort of vibe, but with like classes. It's
More
very,
more game.
yeah, very chill. Yeah, more quest oriented, more directed. Um, yeah, I just remember playing the first one to death, and so I'm actually low key pretty psyched about this one.
It looks pretty cool. If there's lots of stuff to do, like that could be a good time sink.
Oh hell yeah!
Cool. So elsewhere in the news, Microsoft has confirmed that Game Pass does decrease game sales.
Mhm.
Not surprising,
No,
but I get that I get why they're doing it because they want to win a court battle against Sony. But I don't know. That seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot to say, yeah, people don't really buy our game.
yeah, it's a weird move because you never want to admit as a company that a service you offer is like bad for the platform in any way. I mean, it's kind of because it's good for Microsoft, but for the individual creators who sign on, it's not necessarily good for them. It's you really got to make sure that you're getting a good deal, because it's like presumably Microsoft pays a certain amount of money to have these games on Game Pass, which is why they come and go,
Mhm.
right? Because it's like we bought the licensing for a certain amount of months and then it disappears. Perfectly fine. But you get the feeling that maybe in some cases the amount they pay doesn't necessarily equal the amount of sales it would have otherwise gotten.
Yeah.
And in fact, it might end up being a smaller number. And I think Microsoft should really be careful, or at least cagier, about telling people that shit, because they don't want to lose the ability to put all this sweet shit on Game Pass. If anything, this should be an incentive for them to sweeten the deal, so to speak,
Yeah.
for people who want to get their shit on Game Pass.
Yeah, well, the actual percentages of how much of a drop are redacted from the quotes,
Mm-hmm.
which is especially damning. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but Microsoft has all the leverage when they're talking about getting games onto Game Pass. It's primarily sort of quote unquote B tier games or indie games primarily, or some AAA stuff. Well, they've got all the leverage in the discussion of, oh, if you want to be on Game Pass, here's what we'll pay you, and we don't know. It could be pennies. For some of those smaller games, it could be next to nothing. So I don't know. Maybe this is good for devs who want to get their games in front of people.
Well, like, remember when Epic posted some of their numbers and it was like wildly disparate depending what the game was? Because they were like, we offer it for free for a week or whatever, and in exchange you get like almost nothing, or like 500 grand, or like 1.2 million. Like the range was literally from like 0 to $6, and it was crazy.
Hmm. Well, there's a lot more of that story to come. I don't
Yeah.
suspect this court battle is going to conclude anytime soon, for better or worse. I don't know. Make a decision. Doesn't really matter that much. Call of Duty is going to be on all platforms regardless.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think it matters. Microsoft should have enough good developers, good studios to be okay. Haven't, you know, released things.
Yeah. They should do that sometimes. They should release some games.
The other thing that stood out to me in the news about The Witcher 3, and in the remastered version of The Witcher 3, it uses a lot of community mods to create this glorious world. And Rhett, as you might know, because you modded The Witcher 3, there's a lot of naked mods. There's a
Right.
lot of nudity.
Yeah.
Well, the remastered version of The Witcher 3 has that nudity. And in particular situations, you can see some more than perhaps was intended. And they're going to patch that. They had no idea, apparently. I don't believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's tough to imagine that nobody saw. Nobody saw this. Nobody.
well, my understanding is basically they like, because it was supposed to be where like the girls of all kinds in the game, they're kind of Barbie doll down south.
Yeah.
You get boobs and whatnot, but like the the actual, the bits and bobs on the bottom half are not really rendered. But in the remastered version, they got some mods that give you like a fully fleshed out
Flesh.
vagine. Yeah,
Yeah.
a proper vagine. And the tricky bit is that there's not really any time in regular gameplay where you're even shown that bit. Like when you see the women naked, it's generally from the waist up. You never get the bottom. And so that probably the reason they didn't know is because there's no point in the course of regular gameplay where you would even get like a good look at that unless you like
But I mean,
you
somebody was copying
Yeah.
the textures over and thought,
yeah.
this is going to get through.
Yeah, apparently the other time you can get full frontal is with some monsters, which is not
Yeah,
great.
the hags near the end of the game, they're all naked.
Great.
Yeah.
Super
So,
exciting.
I wouldn't blame people for not necessarily noticing in that situation too. It's not exactly eye-catching content.
No.
Oh man, playing with that HD Monsters texture pack. Well, I guess it's not installed anymore because I've got the new version of the game now. But yeah, man, they get out there and titties start swanging. They start hitting the floor. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is very much eye catching. I don't know. Yeah.
The
I,
physics
th-
demo.
so what's the fix though? I would imagine that the easiest fix would be to just patch in a bunch of bushes. You know,
Take the
lawn.
motto.
Repurpose some like werewolf hair,
Exactly. Yeah. Just exactly.
copy and paste.
Yes.
No, what they do is they take the back of Geralt's head with like the long gray locks, and you just sort of like do the lasso tool and like put that right in front of their business.
Yeah.
Or better yet, Geralt's actual face. So you try to pan
Wow.
down,
Yeah.
and he's just
That's.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
just
good.
sort of floating there, judging you. Be like,
Yeah.
"What
His
are you
eyes
looking at?"
follow you around the room as you. Yeah.
I like that mod. I like that idea.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Last one that well, I mean the news didn't catch my eye, but the performance did. Super Bowl halftime show. Rihanna was performing, and there was a lot of suspended platforms in the air, and many people observed just how much that looked like a Super Smash Bros. Stage. So people had a lot of photoshops of Smash characters drop kicking Rihanna in the head.
I mean, can't be running around on a Super Smash Bros. Stage when you're that pregnant. That's just silly. What if somebody does like a final smash and like rockets you off into oblivion, or you miss your double jump timing, you end up falling off the fucking stage?
Yeah.
That's not good for the baby. It's not good for the baby at all.
I don't know, man. She might have Kirby powers.
Mm,
It could
not
happen.
a child. Just it's not a child at all. It's just like the propulsion system that allows her to like endlessly float until she gets back to the main platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the record, she was great. The performance overall was the setup and all that stuff was a little bit one note, but Rihanna was.
Okay.
I mean, I thought coming off of last year's,
Wow.
this one was pretty weak.
I mean,
Dude, last year's was insane.
that's true.
It was fucking insane.
In my opinion, they all pale compared to Prince.
Oh, I
That's
thought you were
fair.
gonna say JT and Janet Jackson,
Yeah.
the titty.
Nipplegate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nipplegate. Yeah.
Fine performance can't compare to Prince. Simply
No,
put.
no, yeah.
The wardrobe malfunction. Come on.
Fuck, that was controversial.
I'm just say what the plan was. The plan was to rip part
Oh,
of her
yeah.
costume off. Just
Absolutely.
be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course it was. I don't know why they tried to say anything else, but I mean, I digress. We're getting off topic.
It was a pretty good football game though. Up until
Oh, it was
the
so
end.
good. Yeah, exactly. Right until the last minute. But wow, That was crazy. When Philadelphia scored that last drive in the last, like, what, 3 minutes or so, and they tied it up?
Yep.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy
Top
game.
quality.
Yeah.
Full money for what I paid for it, which was nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah, too bad it had to end on a call like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
I heard,
controversial holding call.
yeah, I
I don't
heard a
know.
lot of bad noise about that over the web. A
Yeah.
lot of people pretty cheesed, pretty TO'd.
Man, how much fucking cortisol did they shoot into Mahomes?
Oh, he must have been juiced on
Dude,
every
like,
drug known to man. The guy could
he
barely walk at the end of the first half.
that
He
was
came
insane.
back.
Him walking off the field, he like you said, he could barely walk, and then he comes out and plays arguably the best quarter of football you've
In,
seen in the past, I
yeah,
don't know how long. Like, man,
takes
he
off on
must.
this 25-yard sprint like it's nothing.
Yeah,
His legs
yeah.
barely attached.
I wonder. I wonder what they were shooting him up with.
Really good stuff.
Drugs that
The
you
good
can't
stuff.
you don't even hear rumors about. NFL
Yeah.
probably has they probably have chemists and apothecaries on hand that could just like uh, bring the dead back to life. You know, it's just
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sheer alchemy.
yeah, best not to worry about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else anybody wants to talk about, bring up, go through, do the stuff? You know, the
Yeah,
podcasting.
yeah. I mean, I remember when I first watched the direct and got to the end and thought that was all right, and then I looked back at the list a couple of days later. I was like, no, there's so much cool shit in that direct. I'm all about that. This is great. I'm ready. I'm steady. I'm go. It's gonna be kicking. It's gonna be awesome. If you have the Nintendo Plus, the online extra, whatever, Game Boy Advance is worth it. Especially if you've
Absolutely.
never played any of those classics. A lot of them are not to be missed. N64 collection, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, arguably a lot of people who own a Switch were either too young or not alive when Game Boy Advance was a thing. And
Yeah.
arguably one of the greatest consoles, not just in Nintendo history, but in general in history. So much content. Know how much Nintendo loves content, and especially withholding content. There's still no chance that we see much.
Mm.
Oh no, that's never happening.
No.
Those games sold like not cakes. Yeah, whatever the opposite of hotcakes is. Uh,
There's
they were
also
bad. They were bad sales.
Yeah, there's also a lot of not appropriate story beats in there. Got some pretty questionable characterization. Would not fly now.
Oh yeah, Mother 3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a free spirit.
it was a free spirit at a different time.
Yeah.
Different times, different minds, different world.
Who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised in a future live Nintendo Direct. Reggie will appear out of the stage. Mother 3 is finally coming.
Yeah.
And then he will crumble to ash as it is the only thing keeping him alive. The phylactery that prolongs his existence.
The curse takes effect
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, he just turns to dust alive on stage. It'll be at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards too. That's when it's gonna happen. Either that or the Summer Games Fest. Jeff Keighley will be there. He'll be like, Reggie, no! Just like
Oh no, Jeff's gonna hold out his hand like this, and Reggie dissolves.
yeah. 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 Calling it now. Calling it now.
All right. Well, we'll see if that happens. Maybe. Solid maybe.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Press X the podcast. Thanks for hanging out, listening to us jibber jabber about the stuff that's going on in video games. We've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Did you guys enjoy it?
Yeah, I sure did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Well, as always.
Okay.
As always.
Okay. Cool. 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 Uh, Brett, what are you streaming these days? Tell the people.
I'm streaming. We're gonna get back into The Witcher 3, and
Nice.
I think I'm going to get Deathloop going. Now that
Okay.
I finished Demon Souls. We finished Dark's Demon Souls and Dark Space. No, Dead Space. So I'm looking for something new to play, and I've got Deathloop in the back catalog. I've also got Lost Judgments that I've been meaning to play, but
Ooh.
I think we're gonna be playing Deathloop soon enough.
That'll be a good warm up for Redfall. Redfall.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are both arcane games, right?
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
They are.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Well, everybody take care of yourselves and make sure you're having a good time out. Make sure you're having fun. Whatever it is you're up to, make sure it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you right back here next time on Press X the Podcast. See you later.
Bye bye.